G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. I'm David. Today I'm going to tackle a Juniper prostrata, not a Shimpaku juniper, but these Juniper prostrata or procumbens, also known as, are pretty much prolific here in Melbourne, Victoria. They are very used a lot for beginner material as well. They have a few issues. I wouldn't say a lot of issues, but a few issues with dieback and losing branches when you least expect it. Losing branches, browning off. They're a little bit, temperamental, I guess. Sometimes, if you obviously any tree that you don't give enough water, they start sulk. But these guys, if you probably neglect them for a while, they'll just start browning off and lose branches and so on. So best piece of advice with these type of trees: lots of sun, lots of water, lots of fertilizer, and they'll be happy. So these trees grow along the ground a lot of the time, and we use them in bonsai quite a bit because they are junipers and nice foliage pads can be developed. But these can be difficult to get a nice healthy tree out of. But we're going to give it a go. Today I've got a piece of stock that I recently acquired just from they kind of had enough of this tree and they didn't want it anymore. So it's one of those kind of trees. The trunk has some okay movement. It's typical with these trees. It's got a little bit of a straight bit up the top, then does something over here, and then it has a lot of foliage at the top with a long branch at the top going up that way. So there's a lot of, I guess, negatives with this tree. Very hard to come up with something quite interesting because the main issue is there's no branching pretty much from about here all the way up here to about here. So there's a good, my whole hand around this thick around here, there's no branching. Everything comes from the top, and we've got to have to pull it down and so on. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with this tree because it is quite a difficult piece of material because of the lack of branches in here. There's things that we can think of. Do we go a smaller tree, trying to use a branch in here to create a smaller tree, which I tend to like? Do we go a taller tree, maybe literati, to keep all the branches and have a boring kind of tree? I hate to say boring, but yeah, just a typical boring juniper that doesn't attract any attention. My preference is a smaller tree with lots of gin. My preference, not to say that I'm going to do that, my preference is that. However, I am liking a small literati, possibly, ginning a lot of this off and then just having a bit of foliage at the top. We can create something interesting there. The only issue with that is the taper. That's pretty much the same thickness all the way through to about here, which isn't very good. I don't think it would lend a good result to having a literati. So I'm going to try and focus on a smaller tree. Now, what I'm going to do about that is just keep it short. Probably end up ginning everything above that, including this branch, and then seeing what I can do with all this what is in here. Some bits are way too long. There's a really heavy low branch in here. It's very thick, and it's very thick. It's not going to really do much for the tree apart from being a gin. Things like that I'm looking at, so I can already tackle this tree in how I want to. Now, there's both sides are nice, both sides are quite equally good. Well, let's see which one actually comes up better. So we're just going to go play around with a few things. So first things first, I'm going to try and eliminate the parts that I'm not going to need, and then work with what I've just got to create a tree. So I'm going to start with removing this as much as I can of this branch. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to do a gin with it, of course. So there's the heavy branch already there. It's pretty thick size. Now we're left with a couple less branches to look at. We've got a good one here, quite a nice movement on this branch. Here's quite a nice movement. These small ones are probably critical. We've got to keep them to keep the tree healthy, and hopefully we can use that. This branch is interesting. It's a little bit broken, so I don't know if we can use it. It's a branch that's been split in the middle. There's two branches, but it's got a split in the middle. Now I think it will eventually heal, but I'm not sure if we need that branch or we can eliminate it. So if we probably just, I'll gin this off now. Oh, that was pretty quick to gin that branch in there. Now I'm looking at this tree, and if I keep this branch, it's going to be in your eye in this position, or it's going to be at the back in this position. Now the alternative is I would really like to use this nice branch in here that's kind of now at the back. Now I can bring that around probably and create something interesting with that branch, and bring this branch around in here to create the apex and make a small tree. So I think that's what I'm going to do and eliminate this as well. So that's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to take it off. Plus it's damaged, so it kind of does, you know, does two things at once. So by eliminating it, we are opening up the tree now. We can see a bit more of a nicer tree to deal with. Now we can look at different angles as well with the tree, and I think that at least is something. Now, as I said, this is all starting from up here and all the way down. So my idea is to use this branch. There's two branches here, two main ones and a couple of smaller ones, and that's all I've got to work with. So maybe we can build a good tree with it. Maybe I can spin around to this side, make a tree out of there as well. But that's what we're working with, and let's see how we go with actually doing all the work on it. I will gin this one off as well. Alright, so those two have been ginned. We know I'm going to keep whatever I can under here, and now I'm going to work with removing everything that I don't want at the top, and we'll see what kind of gins we can create over there as well. Now, as I do this work, there's a lot of ideas, a lot of different ideas you come up with design. This is what I was thinking for this tree. Main reasons are I want to create something really old, and gin always creates old. So having gin and shari on junipers really enhances the age of a tree. So I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to keep. I'm not going to keep all of it, so I'm going to just take that off. Yeah. Now this is a really nice branch, but unfortunately it starts all the way up here. So it looks terrible if I keep it. So probably going to keep that much of it. So we kind of left with not much, but a more interesting tree. So I'll gin all this off now, and then I'll come and start wiring some of these trees and thinking about different planting angles. So the main issue is this planting angle. I'll take this out of the pot. So you can see this part of the trunk comes straight out. I don't really like that 100%. I'm really not a fan of when it comes straight out of the pot. I want it coming on a bit of an angle or something like that. This is an interesting movement, and this is pretty straight. So by putting a gin, we'll create some interest in there. But let's I want to think about maybe doing it this way, or going further down that way. We'll see how we end up coming along with, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be like straight. I'm going to tilt it one way or the other, and we'll work that out as together. Now I've actually ginned the top and to the bottom, and I've changed the angle. You can see how I've positioned the tree. Now that straight part comes slightly that way, and then the tree goes up this way, leaving the gin at the top, which creates interest. These ones are okay. I'm not sure about this one having it so long, probably a little short one instead. But now I might, because this branch is too low, this low one's got to bring it up a bit and around. Maybe put it in here, maybe put this one around in here, and it can create something interesting and small. I'll use these branches to move it around. The other side isn't as good, but because you lose that whole gin at the back. So that's why I'm chosen this currently as the front of the tree. Now a bit of wiring on these branches, and we'll come back and have a look at how the tree will come about. So what I've actually done, and what my whole plan was to make this tree kind of as small as possible with lots of gin. And the idea was I've only wired that back branch that was sitting at the back, and I've wired it in and around, and I tried to bring it around here towards the front. Now I really want to just try and contemplate using the one branch. That was my whole idea of this, because this branch, even though it's nice, it's all the way up here, and these branches are on that side, so it's not really much going for it having those branches that side. So I want to work with just having this branch on this side. Now I was thinking I've got to bring it probably around a bit more. Now I can either go above the gin or below the gin. I'm going to just see how it looks with having some foliage underneath and below the gin. Could work really well. Could be. Or I might go back over actually, having a smaller tree a bit above it. I think probably I'm going to go with having it above the gin for now, and it'll probably stay like that in the future. I'm just removing some of the longer bits of growth, just to try to get some balance into the foliage pads. The plan, well, obviously now, the plan's quite straightforward in the sense that you just have to build a tree in around here, close to the trunk, just a nice little foliage bit, and get rid of everything else. Now, I could put that in here, but it'll look a bit silly. So once I finish putting this in place, you'll see the final result and why I've chosen what I've done. So this branch here was a kind of a strong branch that's on closer to the trunk on the same branch, and so that becomes my new apex by just tweaking stuff around and bringing things over and creating a new kind of apex in here. I will have to clean this up and put a bit of wire and get it looking just right. So that's the idea, is having just this bit of foliage here with lots of gin, and I'll eliminate this and put some more gin in it. All right, so if I remove that, you can probably just make out the nice little kind of triangular, I guess, shape in there, and we eliminate all the rest. And I will gin pretty much from there upwards. All right, so as you look at this tree, I mean, give you a final spin, but you could probably notice this, it's not just, doesn't really balance. There's no real, for me, there's a few issues with balance on this tree. The foliage is magnificent, small. This gin's not bad size. This is a little heavy and big. This is way too big. I really wanted to have a big gin, but it looks terrible on this tree. Personally, I think it's just too big for this tree, so I am going to reduce it. I know probably people like it, but I think there's just some nice movement in here and to about here, and then it gets all straight. So I'm going to probably give it a kind of a cut in here and remove it. Sorry. So if you really like that big bit, I'm sorry, I don't like it. So these are things you have to do sometimes to achieve a better tree. I'm just roughly chopping it, and then eventually we'll fix it up. It gives you an idea, a bit more interesting, a bit more nice position and shape. This one's just too long. So breaking and peeling it kind of back. That looks a bit better. And this is probably just a bit shorter. So is this one. All right, there you go. So what do you think of that transformation? A bit crazy, but I think it's a much more interesting tree now. The trunk thickness to the tree, very nice. The gins really make it look very cool. And it's a nice small tree rather than the immense, crazy tree I had before. Very easy to repot and change positions. I think it's quite nice. I don't know about the branches being above the gin, but I'm going to leave it for now. I might change it in the future, just dropping it underneath. But for now, I like it as it is. But yeah, that's the only change I probably could make, is putting the foliage underneath this gin, if I feel like that would be a better tree in the future. Now I've got a little Shohin tree compared to what the other thing was. A bit crazy. Just let it recover health-wise. Water, not so much, because there's a lot of roots there helping it, and just feed a bit more before the winter comes, which is very mild here in Melbourne. so it shouldn't be a problem. So there you go, guys. That's my little transformation of a juniper procumbens prostrata into a mini from a very ugly piece of material, I'd say, into a nice little tree right now. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.